So we are welcome to the Power Hour Tech Talk, and we thank you for joining us. I'd like to hand over to Johan, who's recently done a presentation for the Centenary Symposium and is going to do an enhanced presentation for us tonight. Johan has put a lot of effort into the presentation material, and he's going to share something close to his heart, and that is really helping a lot of amateurs out there, which is different to what we normally do as well. So please do enjoy the presentation tonight. If you have any questions, the Zoom chat is open, and you will also take questions on the repeater and on Zoom towards the end of the presentation, and then you're most welcome to ask Johan your questions. Johan, I hope you're ready. ZS6 Delta Charlie, I'm now handing the microphone over to you.
Okay,
ZS6
start from the
STM.
beginning again. I said, where does one start? Right at the beginning. What happened is we actually, I've been playing with antennas for a while. I bought a Yagi, then testing it, setting it up. If I can make the mirror repeater from here on low power with a handheld, then we're halfway there. Now that's a distance of about 83 kilometers, but we're fairly high up. Then we go out to Sandton Peak Yacht, and we test from there. We get contacts, and once a year you activate the Sandton Peak. So it's just a fun day. So I bought a Brunel, and we went up to the peak. We called CQ a bit, and JJ in Stilfontein, ZS6 Echo Golf Mike, answered. Brunel and JJ had a conversation and went down to low power and maintained the conversation. We came home and mentioned it to a few guys, and the next thing it was in the news, and then it blew up. We had some naysayers that said, no, it's a fluke shot, it's this, it's a tropa ducting, and so the next Saturday in the middle of the day we went back and we made a video recording of it. And she did the contact again. He repeated it, and Gideon, ZS4 Papa, answered as well, which is a little bit further in Vierfontein. And he was not on a Yagi, he was on a Slim Jim or a J-pole or something. And whereas at the recording proven. Well, from there, we decided, okay, we get a couple of mates, we get onto the mountains and then see if we can talk to each other, see if we can get a bit of a distance on low power. And the thing just snowballed from there. It's unreal. Never in my wildest dreams that I think it will get to this point. Anyway, right, let me see. Okay, the first slide there is Brunel on African Hills, which is a Sota and a Ota Peak. And the direction she's pointing was towards the Vogel area. ZD6 Romeo Lima was on that side. And yet they made a very, very good contact on low power. It's also in a region of about 70 or 80 kilometers. And the view from there is fantastic. It's a bit of a difficult place to get into. Okay, the next thing, what are we about? Okay, please go to page 2. ZS6 HI, ZS6 DC.
You just keep talking and we will follow through there, Johan.
Okay, all right. Okay, so now if you look at the picture, you'll see there's a wash going down. The height there above the lower level is about 200 meters. But keep that wash in mind. We'll come back to that just now. Okay, now what it's about, you know, you speak to people and you see how many new amateurs write the exam, and you just never hear from them again. And now we look at the picture and, you know, it's actually scary. And you can't just blame the cell phones and social media for it. There's other factors involved as well. So what we think happens, basically, is financial constraints. you get a guy, a youngster, he's in a neighborhood watch or whatever, and he's got his little Chinese handout. Then everybody shouts at him and says, no, it's illegal and he's going to go to jail. And so he decides he's going to do something about it. He goes and he writes the exam. And now the first time he goes up onto a hill, unfortunately, we get all kinds of people and somebody jumps on his case again about his little Chinese radio. He didn't get very far and then he loses interest. He chucks that radio in a bin and you never hear from him again. Okay, the other thing is the lack of guidance. Most clubs, they don't really guide the guys. There's some info, but I've seen clubs doing antenna days and they want money and this and that. So that's another thing that can be addressed. So where does it fit in? So humans are inherently mostly pack animals. There needs a sense of belonging to somewhere, someplace. And how do we address this? Okay, so we need to foster a sense of belonging and achievement, as well as creative, technical, innovative collaboration and critical thinking. I can add there as well, not just critical, also creative thinking. In an experimental environment, participation creates a sense of belonging. To counter the attitude of some of these amateurs, we've got to build support structures for technical problems. We've got to create a flow of information to help where help is needed and guide where guidance is needed. And let's get the amateur spirit back into the game, because that's been fading from the way I see it. Okay, but it must be in such a way that it becomes a learning experience, with meaningful technical discussions and not, the mentors should not be, you've got to do it this way and no other way. Leave the kid, let him experiment for himself. The only way you learn is by making mistakes. Okay, we address the financial issues by showing them that homebrewing everyday items into functional antennas that is on par or exceeds commercial variants. And then we encourage them to push the boundaries with organized, practical, fun-filled field days. Okay, and my notes are I sometimes have difficulty reading my own handwriting. But once they make that 100 kilometer plus contact on 1 watt or less, the excitement that you see in them, it's unbelievable. These guys, it's adrenaline rush, and they once they've done that, then they're interested, then you can work with it. And you will see him again. So, okay, now we go to the method. That is page 3, the next page. Okay, now you look at before I carry on, you look at the British Main Signalling Station. That's on African Hills. That is if you can read on the screen there, it says heliograph was situated here to communicate in Morse code with Rustenburg, Pretoria, Krugersdorp. The last message that the signaler transmitted to General Clemens during the battle was all is lost before he was pushed over the edge of the cliff to his death. Now, I've got a different theory about it. Remember that wash on the second picture? I think he probably tried to escape, and if you're careful, you can probably do it. And he probably lost his footing. I think that is more than likely what happened, but that's my idea. Okay, now where was I? Okay, now we build, and what we do is we build a few 7-element fold-up Yagis that is used as loaners for the field days. The various solar setup peaks and other high sites is utilized. created two social media groups. One to store open source and freeware antenna calculators, as well as other tech information, which is then freely available to the guys. It's all open source and freeware. If the other one group is solely for the field day, used in conjunction with Android apps to verify your grids locator, and you can get your azimuth towards a target station and so forth. It makes it a bit easier, especially when you've got a pointer Yagi. It also teaches you, it's a start of doing a bit of direction finding at the end of the day. We'll get to that later. To participate, anybody can participate. You can work from home. You don't need a 1 watt handheld, whatever, to participate. If you work from home, it's fine. The guy, as long as one of the stations has got a small handheld that he can lower the power, so that contact can be maintained. Okay. Let me put on my glasses. My wife's laughing at me. Okay. Okay, now to the stations with the megawatts, please try and keep the power down as is necessary. Just to prevent from overwhelming the band and the small handhelds. That can be difficult, and try and stick to the calling frequencies and move. Let's not clutter the calling frequency. Okay, page number 4. The distance. Added benefits of field days. What you get is environment awareness. You know your area and you know your capabilities. Now, for Hamlet members, this can be very beneficial, immensely. In a worst case scenario, it would also be interesting exercise for Hammies and scouts. That's something we still got to work on. And you get extra exercise in nature, healthy, fresh environment, and then also a bit of off-the-shelf research of weather conditions on VHF FM propagation. That's why we try to do it 4 times a year, seasonally. Okay, then Vision Club participation. We would see maybe some of the clubs bold own loan units for field days and participate. It's not a competition as such. We've seen in competitions, some people, competitions brings out the worst in them, and we don't want to scare these guys off. Okay, and at one stage in the future, we will have to increase our management component. Let's say members from different clubs as admins on the social media groups. And that will also foster a sense of camaraderie and working together with interaction between the clubs, which is also in short supply leg. Okay, maybe we can get a couple of dates on the SARL calendar. We're still working on that. And then maybe at a later stage, we can get a set curriculum for these guys to start building antennas out of basically nothing, something functional. But it must be free. No money involved. The moment there's money involved, this thing falls flat. We could do it interactive online and maybe in person or both. And okay, now the next page is about the antennas a little bit. Are you still, Keith? Are you still on the right page with me?
I hope so, Johan. We're on the About Antennas page now.
Okay, with the fold up Yagi on the concrete floor there, that's fine.
That's fine.
Okay, the parameters for the Yagis, or the criteria was, the first ones was a solid big Yagi. You've got to carry up a sort of big, it's 2.5 meters long, it's bulky, the wind blows you around. So we split the boom in 2 and we made the elements removable in such a way that if you put it back, it's exactly in the same place where it's supposed to be. I'll get to the bushes and stuff a bit later, and you guys can see how we did it. So you fold it up, and you got a bunch of elements, and the longest component is 1 meter 250, which is manageable. So you can walk up a mountain, no great stress. Okay, now all these antennas is computer generated and then optimized. I use Yagi Max, but you can use Monaco or any freeware. It's not a problem. It's all about experimentation. There's quite a few calculators online, as well as free modeling antenna software. Now the aim is to get amateurs to eventually be capable to design and build with just a calculator in hand and whatever is available. That is a skill that's also in short supply. Everybody goes, buys most expensive antenna, the most expensive radio, and look at me syndrome rules. You know, the guys, they see, the youngsters or the new guys, they see this and they think, how can I compete? That's also part of the reason they chuck the radio and you don't see them again. Okay. We encourage participants to build anything with whatever is convenient and affordable. From there, the barbed wire in the slogan. That's where the barbed wire comes from. We have a Yagi donation for the best innovative antenna. At this stage, we're still discussing who's gonna get it, and still gotta get pictures from it. That's gotta get the guys involved first, but we've already got. Incidentally, it is also the Yagi that did 200 milliwatt contact on 343 kilometers. That was kindly donated to us by Quibus 86 Bravo Oscar Sierra. Okay, right. Number 5. Assembled. Okay, this is going to be a quick one. The antenna there, that is assembled fold-up Yagi. Okay, and then the next one, that's what it looks like when it's disassembled. Okay, right. Okay, improvisation. The picture you see there happened at Breed's Neck. We went up all the way there, all that difficult route. We get to the top, and then you realize you've left your plastic mask at home. So what do? Chuck it in the bush. It worked. We still managed to contact from there to the Niceville and to the Wall Dam. Okay, about improvisation, the guys can improvise. It fosters also critical, creative thinking, but they learn to think on their feet, which is necessary. Okay, the next one, we get to alternative construction methods. Okay, that's just the antenna again. Then you go to the one that says mounting elements. Now what we have there is a piece of PVC pipe. You get an old PVC drain pipe. You cut a nice strip out of it and you get an electric heat gun. You heat it up and you fold it over the boom. Then next you cut another strip. That's the next page. Or you get yourself a wooden block and you cut roughly the slot into the size of your element you're going to use, plus twice the thickness of the PVC pipe. Okay, next one. Then you take the wooden block, heat up the PVC, you push it over, and that is what you got. Okay, you're still with me, Keith?
Still with you, Johan?
Okay, the next one, you can see the two layers on top of each other with the elements through. And then the very next one, you use a short self-tapping screw to fix your element to the plastic. And then you can bolt it down to your antenna or however you want. That is the one way. Okay, the next slide. This is something I recently did. The PVC molds, I call it a mold, was a round PVC pipe. A square piece of wood, you heat it up, you push it over, you get your square section, and you cut the shape at the bottom out of the PVC. And then you get some fiberglass gel coat and you color it. But now one must be very careful of the colorants. Some of them contains carbon, and you can get a bit of stray currents that can muck you around a bit. I use blue normally. Then you cast it. And then you also see the left-hand side one. It's got two little pipes in there. It hasn't been smoothed out yet. That is if you bolt it down onto the boom, you don't put strain on the plastic and crack it. And because it overlaps at the bottom, once you've casted it, it fits exactly like a glove over your boom. You can always get it back into the same place. You can even mark it. Okay, next slide. Okay, this is also a mold. PVC pieces cut onto another piece, silicone down. And then on the next one, you can see once it's cast and it's removed, this is what it looks like. Okay, next one, that is a folded dipole on one of the Yagis. I had a bit of drama with that one to get it sorted. We'll talk to you about that just now. Also cast in the gel coat. And actually that's the antenna that Renella is now using. And the next one, that's what it looks like when you finished what the elements look like, how they fit into the holes. With a flat surface, once you throw it in, the flat part will be on top of the boom so it doesn't fall out or fall through. And then you fix it with a cable tie or elastic band or a piece of insulation tape or whatever. Next one, that is the bushes before the final flat piece was put onto it. That was just after the machining. But not everybody has got machining tools or 3D printer, and that's another thing as well. You know, your local what can I do you for Emporium? It's going to charge you an arm and a leg to print 7 or 8 pieces for you. So this is an easy workaround. Then the next one. This is a MacGyver construction. Interesting, this antenna worked extremely well. What we did there is we drilled a hole through the element. It was a 10 millimeter element, and as luck would have had it, we could put some thread in it through the sides, and we could put a little helicoil in there or an insert, and we just screwed it in and keeps it in place. Now, the next time, if we ever do something like that again, I'll move the holes more to the top so you don't get that bending effect of your boom. Okay, all right. And like I said, it doesn't have to be pretty to be functional. Now, the next one is just a driven element connection that was made with PVC, a PC board, just to mount the SO239 and the gamma match. The other one that was the aluminium plate that we mounted. The gamma clamp was something simple. It was just a piece of 12 by 12 square tubing bolted together, drilled the holes through for the brass screws, and cut the one into 2 so you can mount the elements or tighten the elements individually. You know, the gamma tube and the element. I'm not sure which antenna this was. I can't remember. Okay, now we get to impedance matching. My wife's laughing at me there. The impedance matching, this picture here is not very clear. What I will do is I will get a proper version, and I'll WhatsApp it to Keith, and he can maybe distribute it. This is a very good starting point on a 2-meter Yagi. And now the gamma match or the gamma capacitor in conjunction with the Smith jolt is an awesome piece of a kit. It really makes things easier. You can get the antennas also. What we do is, because we are focused on long distance, we get the sweet spot. We get the antenna the best you can on the frequency that you want to operate on. So with the Smith jolt is very helpful there. Okay, the next one is the Smith job. Now, this picture I found in a PDF. The PDF is available on one of the groups. But this picture is the one that made the most sense to me, that actually made me see the light. It's a big help. You've got to get your cursor. If you use a VNA, a vector network analyzer, the center black dot, this is where you want your cursor to be on your frequency of operation. And the arrows are telling you, okay, if you add series inductance or series capacitance, this is the way your cursor is going to move, and you've got the circles that moves along. So if you add parallel inductance, it moves up to your zero line, and then you add a series capacitance, and you move it down all the way to Earth. So it's an awesome piece of kit. Okay, next slide. Okay, the quarter wave line matching transformer. This is also quite a nice thing. You know, when you design these antennas for, when you maximize it, sometimes you end up, or I like to get down to about 28 ohm. Now, if you do a wave line matching transformer, what you do is you use an electrical quarter wave, electrical quarter wave of a different impedance to step up, step down as a transformer to get your impedance matched exactly. But now another word of caution here as well. When you use a VNA, a vector network analyzer, when you calibrate it with your whole feed line, not at the unit itself, because you've got a 50 ohm going into your input into your load, and if there's a bit of a discrepancy or whatever on your feed line, you're going to be out of whack. So you get the best results, best readings. Then it's the square root of your input impedance times the product of your input impedance and your load impedance, which is your antenna. Now, if you're on 28 ohms, now you do the math, it works out to about 37 ohms. But now you have a 37 ohm antenna feed line. In our areas anyway, it's unobtainium. So what the workaround is, what you do is same as the resistors. You take two electrical quarter wave 75 ohm cables, quarter wave lengths, and you parallel them up. Now 1 over RT is equals 1 over R1 plus 1 over R2. And that comes out to 37.5 ohms, which is very close enough. You're not always going to be exactly on 28 ohm, maybe 30, but you will be close. You will have quite a good antenna. Okay, next one. Okay, this is for folded dipoles. What the guys do here, if you've got a folded dipole, you're working maybe with about 300 ohm. Then they use a 75 ohm feed line and electrical halfway phasing signal to step it up. That is what the 4 to 1 balun looks like, impedance transmission. If you have a 200 ohm, if you end up for some reason on 200 ohm, then you use 50 ohm coax and you get spot on. But now, once again, the electrical quarter wave line, you measure your cable from where the braid splits to or where it enters your connector. So that is you and to work it out, it's a normal formula that you use for working out your wavelength divided by 4 times your velocity factor, which is normally 0.66 or 0.8. You've got to know, and you can mix and match different impedance cables as well to get different impedances, but make sure that you do have the same velocity factor on both of them. Okay, that. And then the common mistakes when the guys are setting up vertically. Now I've seen this plenty. The guys put the Yagi up vertical, and then they've got this big aluminium mask going right through the center of the elements. now you've got uncalculated element in the middle there that is not calculated. It is not supposed to be there. It chucks out your radiation pattern. You might be able to tune it to get a workable SWR, but happening to your radiation pattern, it's not a Yagi anymore. It's actually a piece of metal. Okay, and then the other thing, feed lines. Always try use best feed line you can afford with the lowest loss. You know, it makes a huge difference, especially on very low power. I mean, if you use RG58, for instance, and you're working on 70 centimeters, and you've got 30 meters out, you're not gonna get 10 meters out of your out of your yard. So keep it in mind. Keep the coax always short and always use the lowest loss you can find for the frequency you can. Okay, next one. Okay, this was a random shot while sitting up. Two parameters that I'm quite keen on is the phase at the bottom. This one is still 20 degrees out, which is fairly close, but I'd like them closer. You always work towards the 0 or 180 degrees. Then you've got a nice, and then also your return loss. If you've got a return loss of minus 15 dBs, you've got a SWR of roughly about 1.5. Anything from about 30, 33 becomes excellent. Over 40 is extremely well. I think this antenna didn't quite pan out to the other figures, but anyway, it's just an example. Okay, optimization. Now, what we have here is a radiation pattern of somebody's antenna. Now, you'll see that your front to back ratio is on the minus 20 dB. That is what I've seen is through the bank, most of the Yagi designs on the net, they all got about a minus 20 dB front to back ratio. I tend to push the envelope a little bit there. Yeah, but sometimes it's a trade-off between optimizing for maximum gain and maximum front to back ratio. You don't want to overdo it because your impedance gets eventually below 10 ohms, can be a problem. But what we try to do is we try to suppress the side lobes and then also see if we can get the front to back ratio better. But one must also be careful that the radiation pattern does not become too sharp. You know, you can get it so sharp that if you turn it 5 degrees past your target, you're missing totally. You do not want that. So it's a trade-off. One has got to be very careful in that regard. But it's a lot of fun experimenting and getting it done. Okay, now we start with the fun stuff. Now, that's yours truly sitting there on his backside with his antenna on bread snack. And you'll notice the very first page, the wife is using tripod. I don't have one. This was also a nice contact, also to Series 4 Romeo Uniform Mike. It's 133.43 kilometers with 1 watt. Then the next one. Okay, that is a view from Breedsnack, and this is the one that I've doubled. Okay. Then that is a cave on the way up to Breedsnack. Now, it's not very deep. It's maybe 15, 20 meters deep. But it's full of candles and candle wax with the sangomas going there at night, and very interesting formation, a rock formation. Okay, this is the one I've doubled. We can skip this one. Okay. All right. That's also the opposite side of Breedsnack. If you enlarge it, I think you will see Baofeng Dam there in the background. Give him a say if I go too fast. Okay, next one. Now, this is Cobus, ZS6 Bravo Oscar Sierra at Jachtfontein. That was in the beginning. That's the antenna that is donated. That's the one that did 343 kilometers on 200 milliwatt. that first roundabout, it's one of the first ones we built before when we started Sota Peaks and so forth. Okay, this antenna does not split. You can see the slip carrying that up a mountain. Okay, now this is just a picture of the microwave installation at Jachtfontein, which is sadly no more. It's been stolen. Okay, next one. This is the northern side of Jachtfontein, down to the mine dumps and Western area side. Okay, now Krugersdorp tailings. This is the top of the Krugersdorp tailings, which is a Sota peak. I've got the numbers here somewhere, but after we went up there, I mentioned it to somebody. I'm not sure if it was Yaku's B6 Alpha Delta Tango. Somebody said to me, no, they had Geiger counters up there and it's radioactive. And then afterwards I've heard that Maria Kieferink was up there as well with a Geiger counter, and I've heard that the Lancaster settlement just down where the old where the motorcycle racetrack is was moved because of this. And then I heard that the dump, there was 2 dumps used as low yield radiation dumps, which was covered up with sand, I think. And then when the mine dumps were washed to reclaim them, this all opened. Now this makes a lot of sense to me, because at the top you see all those little grey and black spots. That's all metal sticking out there, little pieces of metal rusted and solid. So, but anyway, that was a nice climb. And also you've got to watch out a bit for the illegal miners in the area. It's a bit of a concern. Okay, there's a view from Krugersdorp tailings. And okay, this is the way we went up. Now, they say this dump is on the Sota card. They say it's 147 meters tall, but I think they have washed 40 meters off the top, but it's still very high. And it's loose sand, and the pathway up there is very narrow, loose sand, slippery. If you fall down this side, you're going to get hurt. If you fall down the other side, the tree might stop you. You're going to get seriously hurt. Okay, next one, Bakenkop. That's where the 36 Bravo Uniform November's place is. I'm not sure about the height that I put down there. It could be a little bit higher, but I'll have to check up on that. It's 1,763 meters. We had some very good contacts there. With a little double bazooka antenna hanging over a bush. As also, we activated the Sota peak. It's before we started doing the low power distances, but with a handheld and the little bazooka, we did quite well from there. Okay, now these are remnants of an old fort here and at Breedsnack. Breedsnack is indicated on the maps. This one, not that I can see, but it's got the possibility of becoming a HOTA site as well. We've just got to research more, take some more pictures, and some of the, the structures on the side of the hill where they were sitting behind, places to watch, where the guys who will watch were sitting. But we'll get into that. And with the fort, I think we already got the exact grid square, and I think it's in the process of being registered. I'm not sure. I'll just have to check with Jaco. There's some more of the fort. And okay. Now this is a second penultimate slide here. So I'm going to thank everybody for the opportunity to share this with you. And I've got to especially thank Jaco ZS6 Alpha Delta Tango for making most of this possible. It is heartfelt thanks. And like I said, never in my wildest dreams did I think this thing will take off and we will be where we are now. But let's get the spirit of amateur radio back, get the guys interested. Let's get them on the air. And we've used the principle of each one teach one. You know, we've had one guy that really couldn't do anything. He's financially constrained. He had his little radio, so we helped him with a few odds and sods. And he found, I actually got that on the Telegram group as well, the antenna. He found, I think it was John M0 UKD, has built a fold-up antenna where he used clothespins to mount the elements, which is very interesting. And he copied that, and I think he's just about ready for the next day. And we will see him there. That's innovation. But thank you again for the opportunity. There's 6 Sierra Tango November, 36 Delta Charlie.
Thank you very much, Johan. Very interesting presentation, and you've had lots of adventures judging by the very scenic photographs that you showing us this evening. So I think just from my side, before I take questions, you're talking about obviously FM, distance, building your own antennas, having fun with very inexpensive equipment, going to HOTA sites and trying to see what distances you can do with home-built antennas, and including those who obviously don't have the means to do anything expensive. It's pretty awesome. I know that a lot of us do SOTA, and some of us do HOTA as well, sorry. And I think HOTA is also getting a good start in South Africa at the moment. But this is an inexpensive way of getting out into the field with a simple antenna structure that you can build yourself and be really excited about, I think. Okay, let's open it up to, let me just take, if there's any questions in the room here with me. No questions in the room here with me. So let's see if there's anybody on the Zoom call who would like to raise questions. And by the way, we've had consistently around 16 people on the Zoom call, Johan. So anybody on the Zoom call would like to ask Johan any questions, please just unmute and go ahead.
ZS6RN.
Please go ahead, Nigel. Great to have you on the show.
Thank you. Thank you very much for an informative presentation. I won't be negative about the audio. It's being an amateur radio user, you get used to listening to the key information. Using FM, are you on narrow? I'm assuming you would be, but you would have narrow setting on your El Cheapo FM radio?
If we just self-translate here, I've got a bit of noise and a bit of an echo, so battle a bit. If you can just repeat, please.
Keith, do you want to repeat?
Please go ahead, Nigel. If it doesn't come through clearly, I will try and then repeat it as well.
Okay, so I'm assuming that the bandwidth on the FM handheld will be set to narrow. QSL?
So, I guess you will have to repeat the echo is a bit wild.
Okay, no problem. So we're experimenting with technology this evening for this call. So thank you for everyone for your patience. And Nigel, yes, the multiple clicks because we're running a Vox through an FM transmitter here. But Johan, the question is, are you on a narrowband FM for these communications?
Now, QSL, narrowband FM vertical. And Keith, there's one thing I would like to mention as well. I think we skipped one slide. It was one with the best distances with the rock footprint. If you can maybe just go to that slide.
Certainly, I'm going to that slide. It's right in the beginning. Okay, we're on that to the best distances slide.
Okay, now interesting that picture is a rock that we found other side western area on Gloucestershire. And it very much looks like a footprint. There's a lot of different other prints in the rocks to see. But okay, the best distances, you know, we've had 2 events. The first event was 121 kilometers on 1 watt. That was my wife, and I think it was Quibus on Baofeng. Then ZS6 Romeo Lima from he was at Fourthville area. He did 154. And ZS6 Echo Golf Mike JJ did 158 kilometers. Then Kobus came and he upset the apple cart with 166 kilometers from Baofeng all the way to Rustenburg with 200 milliwatt measured. Then the next one, I couldn't find all the files in my file 13 here, but the two best ones was Ibrahim, a ZS6 IBZ, 1 watt, and Kobus, a ZS6 Bravo Oscar Sierra, 200 milliwatt. Jachtfontein to ZS4 November in Bloemfontein. That's 343 kilometers on 1 watt and less. And I think that's awesome. I think I forgot to mention that. Anyway, ZS6 Sierra Tango November, ZS6 Delta Charlie.
Thank you, Jean. Anybody else would like to, I see that the West Rand Amateur Radio Club is unmuted. Please go ahead.
Okay, is it 616? ZS6 PVT. Yeah, I'm operating the licensed Zoom copy here, so that shows West Rand, and I unfortunately didn't have a chance to change. But let me just first start off by saying thank you very much for this talk. It's absolutely unbelievable. And at least we've got Kobus, ZS6 POS as a West Rand member. But well done. This is really an eye-opener, and that is the beauty of amateur radio as a hobby. There is so many facets to it. You must just find your niche, and this was definitely proven. And just the general comment, we actually got one airsoft player in the club called Hendrik, ZS6HJH, and maybe we can actually have a cross, a get together or like a cross pollination. I think that could be very interesting. We must really try and organize something like that. And everybody else pop around the West Rand Club. Hendrik's going to be there. He's going to explain his new project. So see everybody there. And thanks again for the talk. Most fantastic. Well done. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Philip. I don't know if you would like to respond to that, but that's Philip saying that they can actually help. They've got a member who is an amateur radio and an airsoft player.
Right.
And so that would be awesome.
Yeah, thank you. I'll reach out. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you, Philip. I actually saw a workaround for the FRS radio. What the guys did is they actually used the handheld as the driven element in a Yagi with a remote microphone and earpiece. So they just taped it on a boom and gave it a reflector and a couple of directors. And apparently they did quite well with it. So experimentation is the way to go. But thanks again, Philip. We'll see what we can do. Back to you, ZS6 SDN, ZS6 Delta Charlie.
Thank you very much, Johan. I see Leon, ZS3 Lima Bravo. Please go ahead.
Good evening, Keith. ZS6 Hotel India. I've got it on my side here for you. ZS3 Lima Bravo. We have a good community in our club that is the Northern Cape Club, and they do a lot of SOTA Sonota, but not with, as far as I've seen with Yagi. That is interesting to carry that thing up or dismantling. A very interesting setup that he gave us here tonight. So yes, they're doing it with long lines and infit halfways and things like that. So they are very much doing a lot of work with the youngsters, with the foot tractors that they call them, and well, the English is the Boy Scouts, and they're teaching the youngsters to get radio savvy and working the network. Our youngest is getting a trophy one of these days there by the year-end function. He's only 9 years old, and I'll tell you, he's blasting your airways. So that's very, very interesting having this conversation. So thank you very much for this presentation, and I'd like to join in the next one as well. Over to you, 06 Charlie Leo, 06 03 Lima Bravo.
Thank you, Leon. Yeah, that does sound awesome. The Northern Cape is quite strong, and they seem to be doing something awesome with the youngsters. So maybe we can reach out and learn from you as well. Or maybe you would like to give a talk on that one day as well. I think it would be awesome to actually see what's happening. What are you getting right? What's not working? Because you've got some scars, I'm sure. That would be pretty awesome to understand further there. Leon, sorry, your audio was a bit muffled, so it wasn't coming through clearly here. I mean, we're playing the audio through a projector, unfortunately. I'm trying to see how I can change that. But thank you for that, Leon. Then I see we've got a hand up. Rowan, ZS6 Tango November. Mike, please go ahead. Rowan? Okay, Rowan, I'm not hearing. Renato, you please take a round.
Keith, am I okay? I'm not sure if I'm doing this right. Am I getting through, Keith? Over.
You're coming through loud and clear. Please go ahead, Renato.
Thank you so much, Keith. My question, Johan, by the way, thank you so much. It's been an absolutely wonderful presentation. Everything well noted. Johan, my question is, you were talking about, the antenna construction, and the antenna construction is based on some sort of software, antenna modeling software that you use. So my question is basically a general question, is that once you've done the antenna modeling on the Yagis that you are using, and I must compliment you on the construction techniques, I think they are absolutely wonderful. But how do you confirm what the modeling software does and how the actual antenna performs with whatever radio you're using? So how does one oh gosh, I don't know how to articulate this. How do you confirm your calculations against the actual build of the antenna? I hope I've come across adequately, Johan. Over to you, Keith.
Thank you, Renato. Johan, did you hear the question? You want me to repeat it?
I got most of it. Look, if you go back in history, but it's been many years now that I've been following a guy by the name of Gunther Hoch, a DL6WU. I got introduced to his stuff, his research in, I think, the 1990s already. And this guy's done awesome research, moving elements around, etc. Let me just see, my phone just buzzed. It's unstable connection again. But so you can design some of the software. Most of the software can gives you the option to design on ARRL dimensions, spacings, element spacings, or DL6WU. I prefer this DL6WU because with the benefits that I get for front to back ratio, and obviously Yagi Max was also one of his old programs. It's a DOS program. You've got to run it in DOSBox, but you can build it and you can play with it. So if you take an antenna modeling program, sit down, use it, play with it night after night after night till you understand the program properly. Then you design it, and you're still going to do a little bit of changes. When you've got you design the antenna with the boom, with the elements through the boom, but connected or isolated or removed from the boom. If you or a non-metallic boom. If your element is more than one element thickness away from your boom, it's the same as a non-metallic boom. So, and then you play with it. You can also stick up, you can build yourself a little cheap, easy to do signal strength meter. Now, this is also one thing I actually wanted to mention. If you do not have a nano VNA or a fancy analyzer, what you can do is, in conjunction with your SWR meter, you trim the antenna to get the lowest SWR you can. Then you put up your signal strength meter, your home bolt, you put it one side. And then you tune that antenna for maximum deflection. Now, you might get a different reading on your SWR meter, not much, but that is, and where you get your strongest deflection, that is your sweet spot. That is where you want it to be. Well, I hope I answered most of it. I can't think of anything else, but the software is all available on the Telegram group. If anybody wants access to it, just give me a call or ask Keith. Maybe I should make Keith an admin there as well, and he can add people any way he feels like. This stuff is free. It's available. It's been on the net for years and years. Actually, there's one program there on Slim Jims that works exceptionally well. And this was written by a South African man years ago. Now, I was looking for this guy, and I found that he lost his license at some stage, and he was inquiring. I don't know if he's still around. I don't know what his new course is. I wanted to talk to him about it, but I haven't found him yet. But it was freely available to amateurs. Some of the freeware is available for personal use. The moment you utilize it for business use, then it'll be fair to supply the guy with a few shillings or something, or whatever he asks. So just keep that in mind as well. Back to you, Keith.
Thank you very much, Johan. I hope that has answered some of the question there that was posed.
Keith, can you hear me now?
Yes, Rowan, we can hear you now. Please go ahead.
Okay, I see Anthony did answer him. I was keeping an eye on the chat. John was asking regarding the website, but I see Anthony did answer him. Thank you.
Okay, Rowan, so I'm going to go to the chat now. Any further questions on Zoom that anybody would like to ask? Okay, let's go over to the chat quickly, Johan, and I'll just read out what we're seeing in the chat. So good evening. This is from Peter, ZS6PJE. Good evening. Thank you for a great presentation. Please have a look in the SARL March 2022. Radio ZS, I assume. I did my first VHF competition from Kempton Park using a Baofeng 2-watt to Brent in Northcliffe on page 21, 22, and 23. Well done, Peter. The rest of us are catching up. Then Nigel, ZS6RN, thank you. Marius, thank you. Well done. David, thank you. Very informative. Peter is again. I also did my XUSDR with 1 watt at all the way to Graham ZS4 GED in Ladybrunt on 7.100 with my Zyger G90 into PAL on 8 watts. Yeah, now you're going up into power. That's probably called heavy power, heavy duty power, Peter, compared to the 200 milliwatts which ZS6 BOS is doing. But thank you for that. And he's provided a link. Then Jean, unbelievable. That is amazing. And Jean, we will do send an email and we will reach out and chat with you further. Nigel, sorry, internet very flaky this side. Then Keith, is this the correct email? No, Jean. I will post the email in the chat now for you so that you can have the correct email. Okay, hopefully you can see that. Oh, yes, I see Anthony's already posted it. Thank you, Anthony. And then then Jean says thank you. Last call on Zoom for any questions. I see there's one new message. Renato, thank you, Estienne and Johan. Excellent presentation. Right, I just want to go over to the 145, the repeater network and find out if there are any questions on the repeater. ZS6 STN is standing by. I'm just having to see how we can get out of Vox here. ZS6STN, listening for any questions on the repeater network. Is ZS6STN standing by? Okay, nothing heard on the repeater network. So, Johan, I think that then brings us to the end of the presentation. I would like to just say, on behalf of the amateur radio community, thank you very much for the time that you've taken to present this. I know that for your first photograph, I saw that Ronel was holding up the antenna. I need tips on how to get my wife to hold up the antenna as well, please, Johan. So if you can share those secrets with me, I'd appreciate it. But I'd like to say a big thank you for the presentation, the time you've taken to do this for us, and for the opportunity that you're giving us to do something different in the amateur radio community. Back to you, Johan.
Thank you, Keith. Yeah, no, it was awesome. It was great. There's a couple of points that keeps on flashing through my head that I forgot about. You know, late Uncle Henry said, old age is nobody's friend. I'm not there yet, but I'm getting to my sell-by date quickly. But yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity. And once again, for all the participants and everybody that made this possible, we give a most heartfelt thank you. And if anybody is interested in the two groups, just keep in mind the WhatsApp group is not a chat group. It's only utilized the day before and the day on of the event for grid squares, distance calculation, etc. And the other one is resources. Yeah, that is it. But once again, thank you very, very much for the opportunity. It is 6 Tango November, 36 Delta Charlie.
Thank you very much, Johan. Then I'd like to just say a big thank you to all who participated this evening. And it's awesome. It makes it worthwhile doing these Power Hour Tech Talks for the South African amateur radio community. And I'd like to say a very big thank you to Matthew, ZS6MDV, for the use of his ICOM 705 this evening to make things work here. Thank you, everybody, and good night.